In this video, we'll learn how to set up the Salesforce DX project and ScratchOp. So let's go to the VS Code and create our first project. So in our previous video, we already set up the Salesforce CLI and the Salesforce extension pack. So let me give you a quick walkthrough from VS Code. So on the left side, there are 5 icons on the top left hand side. The first icon shows you the folder structure. This open editor will show you the files that you have opened, and here you will see your project structure. Then the second icon is the search. If you want to search something in your product structure, you can search it here. Then the third icons give you the power to connect your code with a repository like GitHub. Then the fourth option give you an option to debug the file. And the fifth icon give you an option to install the plugins. So this is on the left hand side. From the top, you just need to remember the terminal. It helps you to open the terminal. You can remember the shortcut keys as well. It's given Control plus Shift plus backtick. You can split your terminal as well if you want to run 2 terminals. Sometimes you want it when you are running the test cases. And the other important one is the command palette. The command palette help you to create the project and other without writing a code in the command line. Okay, so there are 2 options we have to create the project. So before creating the project, we want to make sure whether our extension that we have installed, Salesforce extension pack, is working or not. To test that, go to the option view and select command palette and type something sfdx. If you are seeing some option here with the starting with the sfdx, it means the plugin has been installed successfully. Okay, so now instead of writing the command in the terminal, we have one option. We can go and create the project using the command palette, or we can write the command to create the project. So we have a command to create the project, and that command is sfdx. So type sfdx. It should be small, sfdx. This should be always in the starting. That tells to the terminal, okay, I'm running the command something from the sfdx plugins, okay, or from CLI. Then you will say from the force, I want to create the project colon create. So like from force project, I want to create -n, that stands for new project, and your project name. And if you enter, it will create a project with the name project name. This is the one way. I'll show you the easiest way. If you don't want to remember the commands, you go to view, select command palette, and here you type sfdx. You can choose an option from create project with manifest and create project. I'll select an option of manifest that generate a package.xml along with the project creation. So I hit it, and it will ask us some options. I guess I hit outside. I'll open it again. sfdx create project with manifest. Now it's asking what type of project you want. You can select standard, empty, based on your need. We'll go with the default one, that is standard. What's the project name you want? I want LWC Learning, and hit enter. It will ask where you want to store your project. So I'll choose an folder and say okay, create project. And now it's running the command, and you can see our project is ready, and it's open immediately a VS Code with a project structure. I'll close this, I'll open this. You can see the whole project, and here on the right side you can see some notifications. You can ignore it for the time being. So your project is ready. Your project structure will talk in the next video. So now project is ready, and now we want to authorize this project with our dev hub. So dev hub is the developer org which we created or which we signed up in previous video. Now I want to tell my VS Code to connect with that DevHub. And to do that, we have again two options. Either I write a command in my terminal, or I can go to the command palette and say authorize an DevHub. So we want to authorize first a DevHub, right? So you can choose any option, but this time I'll show you with the command. Okay, so the command is, again, it starts with sfdx, right? Sfdx force colon auth colon web colon login, and then what name you want to give for your DevHub. I'll say -a. -a stands for the alias, and the name of my DevHub, I can say Salesforce Troop, and I add -d to make it a default to this project, and hit enter. So it will open the Salesforce login page. So now you can see it's open as Salesforce login page, and it will ask us for the credentials. So you can enter your credential that you use to create the Salesforce org. So I'll say login. It will say, okay, do you want to allow access? So we are connecting right now our Visual Studio with the DevHub. So you can say, okay, Salesforce CLI is asking to access your basic information and other stuff. So you say allow. And now you logged into your org successfully. And let's go back to the VS Code, and you will see a message here: successfully authorize the DevHub with the org ID. Now you may close the browser. So now, first we created the project, then we authorize the DevHub with the project. Now we want to create the Scratch org. But before creating the Scratch org, I want to tell what is DevHub exactly and what is Scratch org, because this is pretty confusing word for few people. So let's go back to our slides, and we'll see first what is DevHub and what is Scratch org. So DevHub is the main Salesforce org that you will use to create and manage your Scratch org. So we already have a DevHub, that is our developer org. Now we are going to create a Scratch org, that is a source driven and disposable deployment of Salesforce code and metadata. Scratch orgs are driven by source, sandboxes are copies of production. So there is a difference between the sandboxes and the Scratch org. So you can think Scratch org as a temporary development instance of Salesforce. And there is a note: the Scratch orgs are do not replace the sandbox. Sandbox still exists, but Scratch org give you instance or the Salesforce copy for a limited number of days. It start from 1 and maximum 30 days you can use the Scratch org. Once it's expired, you need to create another Scratch org. It has many benefits. We'll see that later. So let's go back to our VS Code and create the Scratch org. Again, you can create the Scratch org from the command palette. You can say create default Scratch org. You can select this option. This is the easiest one, but I want to show you through the command so that at least you guys should know how to create the Scratch org from the command. To create the Scratch org from the command, let me clear the terminal first. To create the Scratch org from the command, you need to type sfdx force colon create, should be force colon org colon create, and you should give an alias to your Scratch org. So I want an alias or the Scratch org to be called as LWC Scratch org 1. So we are creating a Scratch org, and I'm giving a name, a alias name, LWC Scratch org 1. Then I'm saying I want this Scratch org for the days. So I'm using -d to specify the number of days my Scratch org should be alive. So the day should be from 1 to 30. I'm giving the maximum number days 30. So your the scratch log will alive for the 30 days. And then I want to give the path of my file, that is project scratch definition.json, that lies under the config folder. So the file path is, I'll tell you why we have to give this path, config slash project hyphen scratch hyphen def dot json. This is the path of my project scratch definition JSON file. If you open this JSON file, it has some settings. What is the org name, what is the edition, what all features. So you can construct your metadata here. So here you want to give one parameter, because if you create directly without specifying this file, your scratch org will not have any data. When we create a developer org, it has some by default data of accounts, opportunities, contacts. So we need those data to be available in a scratch org as well. So to create a scratch org with the data, we need to add a property, says has sample data. By default it's false, but we may have to change it to true. So it says, okay, whenever you create the scratch org, add the data to it. And it should be a boolean, not a string. So now our scratch org definition file is ready. Save it. And let's continue with our command. So I was writing sfds force or create a scratch org with the name lwc scratch org 1, give the number of days 30, and the file location of my scratch org is config slash project scratch hyphen def.json. And then I want to send one more parameter that will say set this default username. So whatever be the username right now, and whatever be the scratch org we are creating, I want to use the same username while creating this scratch org, and hit enter. So it will create a scratch org. So now our scratch org has been created successfully. This is your username for the scratch org. So scratch org, now if we have to open the scratch org, we have two options. Either you click this icon, it automatically open the scratch org. Now you can see our scratch org name is coming here. It means our VS code is pointing to our scratch org. You can open the org if you want to open using the command. So I'll write the command as well, sfdx force org open. You hit this command, it will open the scratch org. So it opens the browser, and now you can see it has some different domain, that is no software -java. But the best part of scratch org is here you don't need to create the my domain. By default scratch org has the my domain enabled. So my domain is already set up. Now this is your scratch org, and the previous that we created, the developer org, that is our dev hub now. And if you go to any accounts or anywhere, you will see the data will be there. So I'll go to this app launcher and search for accounts, select the accounts, because we have added the property that is has sample data. So now if I say all accounts, you can see some data is already available for us to play around with it. Let's go back to our VS code, and now if I click this icon again, it will open the same scratch org again. So I hit it. Now it's running the same command behind the scene using the plugin that we installed, and it's again opening the same URL. You can see that. So that is the shortest way of using through the without using a command. Just click on that particular icon, and many things you can do without the commands. But still, if you stuck somewhere and you are looking for the commands, there is a master command that will tell you which all commands are present and which all command do what. Okay, so there is a command called sfdx commands. and hit enter, it will print out all the commands that exist under the SFTX CLI. So if you go here, you will get each and every command that are under the force. You can create the Apex classes using SFTX force Apex class create and your name. You can execute, you can add the logs, you can create the Lightning Web component, you can create the Aura component, you create the community, you can publish the community. So you can go through these commands whenever you feel like I don't know which command gonna help me. You can run this master command, that is SFTX commands, and it will print out all the commands with a particular description. So this is how you can find out all the commands. So now we know how to use the CLI, how to use the command palette, that is plugins using command palette. So we created the project using command palette. We create the Scratchog using the commands in the terminal. So let's go to our slides back and let's go to the next slide. So this slide is just for the reference, like if you want to note down the commands. So for project creation, you can use SFTX force project create -n stands for new project and your project name. So authorization of org is the like authorization with your dev hub. So you can write SFTX force auth web login -a, what's the name you want to give, and -d is very important to set your org to a default. Then the Scratchog creation. Before creating the Scratchog, if you want the data to be there, add the hash sample data true property to the project-scratch definition JSON file. And then you need to run this command in which we are creating a Scratchog with the alias name LWC Scratchog1. And -d is the number of days you want your Scratchog to be alive. And it's range from 1 day minimum to 30-day maximum. So a -f stands for the path of where your Scratchog definition file exists, and -s stand for to set it to a default username. So now while creating the Scratchog, if you guys face any issue, something like no or configuration for the name, so you can run the following command to set the default dev hub username. So this is the command and this is the example. And if you're still not able to create, you can message me. So now we have completely set up our project, our dev hub, our Scratchog. Now we are ready to write our Lightning Web components and creating some awesome application. So from next section onward, we start writing the Lightning Web components. So I'll see you in the next section.